everybody, this is Ken and we're in my garage. In this video I'm trying to make the truck run, but when I was doing it I was really sick. I don't know if it was COVID or flu or whatever, but I was self-medicating and trying not to snot all over, and I did something that I've never done before. And when I see it on the automotive TV shows, I make fun of them when it happens because it's totally avoidable, but I did it. So watch along in the video, you'll see it, and now I can't make fun of them anymore. But I appreciate you all watching, so I hope you enjoy. Hey, this is Ken, we're in my garage. We're getting ready to start the Cleveland, and I'm priming the oil system. If I sound funny, I've been sick for the past 4 or 5 days, and I'm just starting to get over it, but still my sinuses are plugged. But anyway, I just wanted to show you how easy it is. There's my socket on the end of it. I got it taped because I don't want to lose it in there. I got an extension and I got my drill, and all I'm doing is putting this socket on the shaft coming up from the oil pump directly down where my distributor went. So that's pretty damn easy. Just lower it down in and it just sits right on the shaft. Now when I'm priming the oil system, I also like to roll the engine over a little bit, make sure oil gets everywhere. But one of the main things that I look for when I prime this engine is that I have oil coming up through every push rod hole on my rocker arms. So I get in there and I look really close, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I'll move you around here so that you can get a better view of these. Now if I roll the motor over, and Ford's, the distributor rolls counterclockwise, so you got to go counterclockwise. And don't just jam your throttle here on your drill, because it'll really spray out of those holes. So I just like to get it rolling over kind of slow, and then I start watching, and now I see it coming up through that hole there, that one down there, both those on the end. Here it comes up this one, there it's up that one. Now all of them are flowing oil. That's what we look for. All right. And there's no reason not to run it for a while, but once you've got oil up into your heads, it's everywhere else. So that's a pretty good indication that I have oil circulating through everything. But I'll go ahead and I'll put a wrench on it, I'll roll it over, I'll spin it a little more, I'll roll it over just to make sure all the bearing surfaces are coated. Everything's got oil on it. There's oil in the lifter valley. It's all over. And I did that before with flat tappet cam, of course, and we know how that worked out. So this time it's a roller cam, and I'm just going to prime it a little bit more, check the other side, take the valve cover off on that side, look at that too, and then when I'm ready to fire it up, I'll bring you guys back around and we'll see it fire up together. All right, stay put. All right, now I'm stabbing the distributor back in. And with the tunnel ram here, it's really tight, and I want to be able to adjust it enough, so it's critical on where I get my number one pointed, just because I have my distributor cap already set up for it sitting right here. So I want my number one pointing with this stud right here, or this bolt. And it's close, but my distributor is not sitting all the way down. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I can highlight it here. Right here, this distributor needs to sit down further. And the reason it's not sitting down is that hexagonal shaft coming up from the oil pump isn't lining up with the distributor shaft coming down in. This shaft can move. The hole is pretty big. And it usually just sits off to one side just a little bit, and then the distributor thonks on it. Now there's a couple of tips you can do, but what I like to do is pull the distributor out, reach down in here with my oil pump drive that I use to prime it, and just move it a little bit. You can actually twist it too, so the hex head lines up in there. So let's see. Move my flashlight. I'm going to pull the distributor back out. You get the gooey cam gear stuff all over everything. reach down in there, and I'm just going to turn my drive shaft a little bit and try to line it up better. Now let's see if this drops in all the way. You might have to give it a little jiggle. Oh, I got the distributor, I think, pointing wrong. We'll find out. No, it's still sitting on that thing. Still sitting on it. We'll give it another shot. See if we can turn it just a little bit more. Distributor back in. There, it's sat all the way down. Unfortunately, this is pointing a little more this way, but we'll see how it works out. All right, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Get my light in there again. There we go, right here. We are now sitting perfectly flush against the block. So now I just need to check my distributor cap and make sure that my rotor position is okay. I think I'm going to have to pick it up and move it, set it back down again, but let me go grab the cap. And it's really not a difficult thing to move all these, but they're right about where I want them. So let's see where number one lands. This is the number one, and it is right there. It's quite a ways off from where the clip is at. And right now, yeah, we're one away from where I want to be. If I was to install this right now and try to static time it, my rotor is pointing at, what is this one? Number 8. Yes. So I need it pointing at number 1, which is pointing towards this bolt. So even though we got the distributor sitting all the way flush, I'm going to pull it out and put it back in. And the reason I don't just leave it here and try to crank the distributor all the way around, I'll actually hook it up here and we'll show you. Maybe it'll work. But it's a super tight fit against the tunnel ram, and I don't know if I can turn the distributor far enough. Now I know it's pointing here straight across, so I'll have to be able to rotate the distributor far enough to line up my spark plug terminal, or I'm going to move all the spark plugs around one notch. Okay, I think I'm capable of doing that, making that turn. It stops right here. So that puts our number 1, what would be pointing at the coil, sort of, just a little to the side. So I'm going to pull the cap back off and see if that will work. So that is right about where our rotor is pointing. I think that's actually going to work, because right now I've got my timing down on the dampener. I've got it set at 14. So the dampener timing marks and the pointer are lined up at 14 degrees advanced. So if I can line up the post I have number 1 on with the rotor, it should be at close to 14-ish, you know. But we'll fire it up, check it with the timing light and that sort of thing, for sure. You can see the mark here on my tunnel ram is being caused by the clip on the distributor there. So that's where it becomes difficult for me to turn it. Without the distributor cap, it's no problem at all. We can get a pretty good distance on it. But I think we'll go with that, because I can turn the distributor cap far enough, or turn the distributor far enough to get the timing marks to line up properly. And we'll shoot for that. May have to redo all the wires the way they're facing. Everything was all nice and neat there, and now it's all got to turn. Or I can just stab the distributor in a second time. What should I do? Let's see. I'm gonna go with this. Just off center. Just off center. Alright, spin that back a little bit so I get the cap on. Telephone call. Nobody I know. That should be correct. That should be 14 degrees. We'll try to static time it. I'm going to move all these plug wires around. That'll take me 5 or 10 minutes because I'm a little anal on it. But we'll get right back with you once I've done that. Hey guys, have you ever static timed a motor? What you do is you basically make sure your timing marks are lined up on your pulley and your dampener, and that your distributor rotor is pointed toward your #1 spark plug. So what I did is, and then you turn your distributor till you get a spark. And so I've got a spark plug here. I don't know if you can see it over there, but it's grounded and it's got my #1 spark plug wire in it. And my ignition system is on. Now I'm going to turn the distributor in the opposite direction of the rotor. The rotor moves this way. So if I turn the distributor this way, it's like the motor was moving the rotor, you know. So what we're going to look for is a spark in that spark plug as I move the rotor around. We just saw that spark, so I stopped right there because that spark occurred with my timing marks lined up at 14 degrees. So if I bolt down my distributor right here, my timing is going to be just within a couple of degrees of 14 degrees advanced. That's all there is to static timing. Now make sure you go turn your ignition system off before you start fiddling with it. Alright, so with it static timed at 14 degrees, I'm going to carefully move these twisted wires out of the way. Put my distributor hold down, hopefully without moving the distributor anywhere. Yay, fun. Get my fingers down in there. It'd actually be fairly easy if I had smaller hands. But it's going no problem. Alright, let's get that bolt tightened down. Alrighty. Why are these wires twisted together, guys? These ignition wires here. They're all twisted up fairly tight. Do you know? Well, in some instances, twisting your wires just makes them look better and keeps them neater. But in some instances, especially ignition wires, it helps control the field created by the wires and keeps the RF from being quite so bad. It's also got a ground wire that's coming from my distributor, because once again, grounding things is one of the keys to preventing your RF signals from causing you problems. So there's some other things you need to do. Hey, some tips, just some things about the motor here that you're probably noticing. It's a hodgepodge of parts, and that was all on purpose or happenstance, really, because this is a budget build, and I'm just doing it with all the parts that I've had gathered over the years, and extra pieces from building my Mustang and some other cars. And almost none of this is brand new stuff. I did buy the tunnel ram used, of course, but these are used carbs that I'd rebuilt. The fuel system is left over. This gauge here, I originally bought back in like 1982 on a car I was racing. It's a fuel pressure gauge, and it sat on the hood there. This time I've just stuck it in this block, more or less, to plug the hole. You certainly can't see the gauge when you're, got your RPMs up, which is when you really need to know what pressure it's doing. But I can see the pressure when it's idling. And yeah, just a whole bunch of pieces. The old distributor, a radiator that I've had for 20 years, one of the first aluminums, I'd imagine. Parts I bought at swap meets, but it's going to work, I hope. There's my spark checker. I just tack welded an alligator clip to a spark plug, cut the electrode off so I can make a big gap, because I like to see that big old spark. If you've got a spark, if you've got a spark that can jump that gap, it's going to fire things. Let's get the plug wire on there. All right. Yeehaw. All right. We have oil in the motor. We've primed the motor. We have oil in the transmission. We've got power steering fluid in it. We've got radiator fluid in it. I got the cap off. Sitting somewhere. It fell down somewhere. I've got to find that before I start it, because I don't know where it's sitting. And I don't know if you notice over here. You see those regs? I'm not 100% yet on those fittings. I've had one hose already, a braided steel hose that should have handled the pressure, give out. Maybe it was old, maybe it was cheap, I don't know. Like I said, a lot of these parts have been sitting on my shelf for quite a while. So those two fittings I'm really worried about, so I've tied regs around them so that when if they give out, they don't spray my whole garage, which has happened already once. Now where'd my radiator cap go? All right, here we go. We're going to attempt to fire up here. We have ignition. We have our fuel pump. I'd say it's out of gear, but the transmission's not even hooked to anything, so let's just give it a roll over and go for it. Well, we're gonna have to check the battery, I guess. All right, here we go with attempt number 2. How's this backfire? But I'm going to take both the foam air filter elements out so that they don't start a fire. And we'll have to check to make sure our distributor's not in 180 degrees off like happens on all the TV shows. Okay, what did we learn from that? Don't work on your rig while you're sick. I did have this in 180 degrees off, but we've stuck it back in. We static timed it. We're going to try again. step. On the, well, maybe on 2 carburetors. Or we may just been getting too much fuel pressure. So we'll get looking at that. I noticed my gauge is bouncing near between 6 and 9, and we only want 6 maximum. So we may have to put a pressure regulator on here and give her another shot. All right, but thanks for watching for now. It's a win. I'll let you know how it goes.